Hello BookTube, my name is Juan, I am just one reader, and today I will be reviewing The Rainwild Chronicles by Robin Hobb. This video will contain no spoilers whatsoever, either for The Rainwild Chronicles itself or for the rest of the Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb, so feel free to watch comfortably. So let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. What is The Rainwild Chronicles, and what is its place within the Realm of the Elderlings? Well, The Realm of the Elderlings is this super series made up of 17 books by Robin Hobb, and you really want to read these books in the right order, which is the order in which they were actually published. The first series is the Farseer trilogy, then we have the Lifeship Traders trilogy, then we have the Tawnyman trilogy, and then we have the Rainwild Chronicles, which is actually a quartet. In this particular series, the Rainwild Chronicles, we follow some of the characters and some of the settings from the second series, the Lifeship Traders trilogy, but it's pretty much another set of characters, another vibe, and we get more just different things. So to give you a very general, spoiler-free, super superficial synopsis, essentially, the Rainwild Chronicles tells the story of a bunch of characters, some of them young characters, some of them older characters, some of them non-human characters, let's just put it that way. And we follow, it's a story of these people who are trying to get the dragons, the titular dragons. All of the books have the word dragon as a title, as part of the title, so you know there's dragons involved, obviously. So we follow these characters who are trying to get these dragons to safety. That's pretty much what the story is about, but again, the way that Robin Hobb plays with it is really cool because we have this like main adventure or quest, but we also follow all of these characters and sets of characters who have different contexts, different objectives, purposes, and conflicts. So now I'm gonna tell you the positives, what I loved about the Rainwild Chronicles, which I think there's a lot to love about these books. Firstly, I think the writing style. The writing style is very Robin Hobb, very on brand. It's this kind of melodic cadence, almost musical writing style. It's not really slow, but sometimes it can be repetitive, sometimes it can be meandering, but I never find it slow or boring, except when it does get really repetitive and pointless, which is a negative that I will get into later. Another positive is, of course, the characters, which is another one of Robin Hobb's biggest strengths in all of her books. Now, I will say that not all of the characters in the Rainwild Chronicles are done super well, but the ones that are executed well and crafted with enough complexity are great characters. I loved the characters of Cedric is a character, for example, that has a lot of complexity. We really get an arc for the character of Cedric, and there are many characters. I will say that sometimes she focused in this particular series on some characters that I found not as compelling or not as interesting and didn't have as much of an arc, but the ones that do have an arc and the ones that are crafted well are remarkable. Another really big strength that I always commend in Robin Hobb's writing is her magic. Her magic feels very natural, very grounded, very realistic even. There's a logical, biological, almost real explanation to the way that she crafts her magic, the dragons, the elderlings, which is something that I won't spoil for you, but it just kind of makes sense biologically. But of course it's magic, so it's fun. But yeah, it's not the kind of magic that I don't like, very video gamey, sort of trashy magic that I sometimes find in some modern fantasy, like Brandon Sanderson's works, which is the type of fantasy that I don't like because the magic feels just very, very Marvel universe, very superhero video gamey, and I don't like that. I love this kind of magic that feels natural and full of mystery. There's like a mysticism to the magic. There's an aura of wonder, a sense of discovery. There's always a sense of discovery with Robin Hobb, and these books are not the exception. There's a sense of discovery and of the unknown. Another really, really wonderful thing in this series is the dragons themselves. I mean, these books deal heavily with dragon lore, and the dragon characters are by far one of the best things that I have seen in Robin Hobb's books. Just the names of the dragons are impeccably well chosen. I don't know how Robin Hobb came up with the names for these dragon characters, but they just feel regal and full of personality. They feel mystical but also lively. They are great, great, great characters. I also really enjoyed how Robin Hobb, incorporated some of the characters from the previous series, especially the Life Ship Traders trilogy, of course, but it was always like just tiny little cameos of those characters, and I was always like left wanting for more, which is sort of frustrating in a way because I really wanted to follow those characters more, but I appreciate that kind of bittersweet frustration. And finally, another really great strength in the Rainwild Chronicles is the themes. I personally think that these books are very much about changing, evolution, changing, adapting, adaptability. It's also very much a discussion about the relationship between people and the earth and nature. It's a story in a way about the positive, the beneficial effects of dependency and symbiosis. Now, with the good comes the bad, because this is not a perfect series. Actually, it is, from all of the Realm of the Elderlings books that I've read so far, this is by far the least perfect, let's say, series. That's not to say that I didn't love it, but it certainly has more flaws than the rest of the series in the Realm of the Elderlings. So, the negatives. I don't know who's editing these books, but they were not doing their job. They should be fired, they should be burned at the stake, they should be punished, because these 4 books really should have been 1 book, maybe 2 books, 2 medium-sized books, not 4 books, not 4 like over 500 pages long a book series. This really feels just like one big long book. It has one distinct main plot line, which is the quest to get the dragons to the city, which is the title of the 3rd book, City of Dragons. And there's so much editing that could have been done, and it could have been trimmed down into something just wonderful. Instead, what we get is sometimes repetitive passages and entire chapters that could have been just, trimmed down. The books feel sometimes rather inconsistent. Sometimes they are absolutely wonderful, and then you really feel disappointed or just bored by some of the passages. So yeah, another, I guess, negative is that not all of the characters are as well crafted as the others. The arcs of some characters are not really interesting, or they don't really change that much, or they don't get enough resolution to their arcs. So yeah, there's especially one character who is one of the main protagonists. Her name is Thymara, and she's a character that I never really got that invested in. I didn't hate her. Many people do hate her. I just found her a little bit lackluster. Another thing that I want to point out here, and this is not a spoiler, and it's also not strictly a negative, but I did feel it was very weird to read this series after having read the last book in the Tawny Man trilogy, which is Fool's Fate, which is my favorite Robin Hobb book so far. That book had such a high ending, like the bar was set so high, and then we go to the Rainwild Chronicles, which just it feels like when you ride a super high intensity roller coaster and then you go to the carousel, and it's a little bit disorienting. It's not exactly a negative, but it did feel a little jarring and weird. Finally, I will go over my star rating for each book individually and then for the series as a whole. So the first book was Dragon Keeper, and I think I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I think this book is a good book. It's just a little meandering. It's a very long introduction, and that's really what this book is. It's an introduction to all of the characters, the settings, the conflicts, the contexts for all of these characters. So it can feel kind of pointless, but I never got bored. I actually enjoyed reading about these people and these dragons and getting back into the Rain Wilds and the dragons and all of that. Dragonhaven was the weakest one, in my opinion. This one, I don't know. It felt just too long and too bloated, in my opinion. I gave it 3 stars. Then City of Dragons, I really, really loved. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. This was really, really classic Robin Hobb, like chef's kiss, right on point. It's the shortest one, and you can see that when Robin Hobb is writing in this tighter way, it actually serves the purpose of a good storytelling technique. And then finally, Blood of Dragons was a great conclusion. I really, really, really enjoyed this book as well, and I gave it 4 stars. So overall, I would feel pretty comfortable saying that, and confident saying that the Rainwild Chronicles is a solid 4-star series of books. It could have been just one long book, maybe 2 books. It shouldn't be 4 books by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm still glad that I read it, and I'm still very happy to give it 4 stars. By the way, before I go, I do want to give you a tip. This is not a series that you should read the same way that you read the other Realm of the Elderlings Robin Hobb books. With those other books, you really want to just let them simmer. You want to read them carefully, you want to read them slowly and really take every detail in. Here, I would actually advise you and recommend you to read them quickly. I wouldn't say that you should skim read, but I do think that you could and probably should read these books not as carefully as the others, and that is not to say that you should be disrespectful or do a disservice to these books, because they are full of really great details. But I think if you spend a lot of time with every single sentence and detail here, you will be probably more frustrated. So just read them quickly. It's very repetitive. So if you don't catch something in the first time that you read it, it will probably come back later and you will absorb it eventually. So just read them quickly and enjoy the enjoyable parts. Don't get overly frustrated by the frustrating parts. So my overall conclusion is it's a good series. I actually really, really enjoyed it. I would recommend it. It's a good series with some really fantastical, amazing, magical elements, the good kind of fantasy that I love. Sometimes the execution was inconsistent or just not very on point. It does feel weirdly placed within the realm of the Elderlings because, like I said, we read this after the climax of Tawny Man, and then it sort of feels weird. It feels young adultish at times, not always. I actually think there are some wonderful adult, mature themes in there. Like I said, the themes are great, but the writing is pretty decent. It's still Robin Hobb. You can't go wrong with Robin Hobb. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you leave a comment down below telling me if you enjoyed the Realm of the Elderlings, the Rainwild Chronicles specifically, or if you are reading it, what are your ideas and fantasies about the Rainwild Chronicles. Let me know all about your opinions and thoughts down below. Thanks for watching. I am just one reader, and I will see you on the next video.